Hello, you're welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be drafting this trendy Caftan Bubu with the collar design and patches in front. Okay, so I'll be using this fabric and we'll cut the front first, then use the same thing to cut the back. Okay, so I'm drawing this margin line, okay, at the starting point. Then I measured ½ inch or so for the joining allowance, which will serve as a shoulder. Then I went ahead to measure my bust point, which is 10 inches. Okay, so after the bust point I measured my waistline also. Okay, so I like to just differentiate all these lines so that you know what you can flow okay with me. All right, so now from my waistline I'm measuring the hip line. So from my waistline to my hip line is 12 inches, and that's what I just measured now. Okay, then also went ahead to measure the gown length. So I'll be using the length of 42, so I'll use the rest for the hemming allowance. So that's the bust point that I'm connecting with a straight line. Okay, so after this I fixed in my bust circumference divided by 4, so which is 8¾ that is my actual bust measurement. Then I added 4 inches for ease, or that's the extra allowance I'm adding for the bubble. 4 inches, then 1 inch for seam allowance. I hope you understand. 4 inches for the ease, like for the freeness, and 1 inch for joining and for the seam allowance or joining allowance. Okay, so the same thing I have on the bust point. Yes, so I went ahead and transfer it to my waistline. The same measurement transfer to the waistline, and coming to the hip line now. So I need to if you are not so much on the big side, or there's no much difference from your hip and your bust round, you can just fix in the same measurement from your bust. But if you know you are wider on the hip area, you can just fix in the quarter of your hip. Mine is 9½. Okay, then add the actual 4 inches for ease, then 1 inch for the seam allowance. Okay, so this one depends on you or the body you are working with. Okay, so by the time I cross check mine, I think I only have a difference of ½ inch, which means I can actually use the same thing on my bust point and on the hip line also. So it depends. So please, let's get that part right. Okay, so you know whatever we have on the hip line is coming to the gown length also. So you mark the same thing on the gown length. Okay, then I'll connect all these marked points with a straight line. So down from the hemming to the hip line to the waistline. So now we are done with that and to the bust point. So now creating the neck, I'll be using 4 inches for my neck width. Okay, this is for the front. Then I'll measure my shoulder also, which is 7 inches. So for the sleeve now, whatever the length of the sleeve is, you add it to the shoulder where the shoulder measurement stop. So for this particular one, I think I can only go with 10 inches. So from your bust point also, you go up by 1 inch or 1½ inch. But I went up by 1½ inch, as you can see, in order to create the arm cuff. From your bust point, just go up by 1½ inch or 1 inch and create this cuff. So that's what is connecting the sleeve to the bodies. Okay, and also for the front, we'll be using V-neck. So you can make the V-neck how depends on what you want, how deep you want. So first, I think I measured about 8 inches for the neck depth and 4 inches for the neck width. Okay, that's for the front. So I think later we'll still work more on that. Okay, so it's not just an ordinary V, because I'll still see I'm coming in by 1 inch or so. Just watch it carefully the way I create the neck. There's a collar that is coming in. So that's why we need to go in by 1 inch or ½ inch. So I cut out the front, so I will use the same front to cut out the back pattern. So that's why I'm leaving the neck first. So now I'm only removing the excess up. so that it won't confuse me while cutting the back pattern. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Okay, so now I'm cutting out the back piece, still removing the excess that is on the back piece. Okay, so for the back now, remember the neck width has to be the same front and back. So measuring 4 inches for the neck width, and now 1.5 inch for the neck depth. This is particularly for the back pattern, please. 1.5 inch for the neck depth, then 4 inches for the neck width. So just cross checking. I think I have a little bit more than 1.5. Okay, so we cut this out. Then we can go ahead and cut out the front piece also. Still cross checking. We have 8 inches there, then 4 inches for the neck width. Then we'll cut it out carefully. Okay, and that is that. So we go ahead and join the shoulder now. You place the front and the back together on the right side, that's right side to right side. Then I'll join the shoulder with the half-inch joining allowance I left. Okay, if it's 1 inch you left, no problem, you can use 1 inch for the joining. Okay, so I went ahead and joined, so you can see the neck is already formed. So now, and I also turned the sleeve part. I did the folding of the hemming of the sleeve. So now we'll go ahead and, so I realized the neck is, I still want it more deeper. So I added 1.5 inch to the 8 inches already done. So making it about 9.5 inches for the front neck depth. So I just made a little correction. So you can see the neck is wider. So I need to measure around this neck. Now, the neckline. I measure it around carefully so that I can create the perfect collar for it. So I have about 29 inches from one end to the other. So I pick up a scrap. I'm using a black color. So I have some scraps of satin left. So that's what I just use, and measure out 2.5 inches on fold. You can see it's on fold. So 2.5 inches on fold. That means when it is open up, it will be about 5 inches. Then measure the length. I realized I have even more than what I needed, so it's better. You can always trim off the excess. So now I'm placing the collar piece now to the fabric, right side to right side, and the open part also. You can see the way I'm working on it. The folded part will be on the outside, as in towards here, it will be outward, and the open part will be close to will be the one that I'm attaching to the neckline. Then when you are done, you can do you can weave it, yes, just to have a clean finishing. So this is what we have. So you carefully do your work. See where I stop, okay? Then we'll stitch it round. So I'm done stitching. You give it a good press so that it can stay properly. So this is how it's going to look. So I make sure I put a notch on the round part, especially the shoulder part of the collar and the back part also, the rounded part of it, so that it can relax properly. Then I also trim out the excess, as you can see. Trim out the excess. Okay. So now for the design, so I measured some pieces I measured these pieces out, which is 12 inches by 10 inches. So you can fold it anyway, fix it the design any way you want it, okay? And you can also cut it 10 inches by 10 inches, whatever works for you, okay? So but this particular one is 10 inches by 12 inches. Okay, so you're going to place it carefully on the front piece. Remember, I have not joined the the dress at the side. I've not joined the seam at all. So it's going to be over the collar, as you can see. Now remember, you can place it any way you want it. It can be centrally placed or sideways. You understand? So you can be creative with this. It's not a must that is centrally placed. You can place it anywhere. Then I'll be, yes, you can see the little design I fixed on mine. So I'm going to trim out that part. That won't just be, so make just to be sure that it's equal on both sides. Then I'll trim it out. So you fold in half inch, about half inch, or if a quarter inch works for you, in order to stitch it down. Then it's important to use your pin to hold this also, so that it won't be moving around when stitching. That part is also important. So this is it. So I went ahead and stitch. You can see how it is. It's as simple as this. So creating this Caftan Bubu is simple. Okay, just make sure you go to calculation right. So I hope this video is helpful, guys. Remember to give it a thumbs up, and you go ahead and stitch the side part. So this is what we have. Okay, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.